held my breath as Marissa pinned the last alteration on my wedding dress. The boutique's soft lighting caught every crystal and pearl, transforming me into something ethereal, something worthy. "You look stunning, Zara," she said, stepping back to admire her work. I twisted slightly, watching the fabric catch the light. 6 months of planning, of dreaming, of believing I was finally getting everything right. The dress was perfect, sweetheart neckline, delicate lace sleeves, a train that would make my mother cry. I felt beautiful in a way I rarely allowed myself to feel. My phone buzzed on the cushioned bench beside me. Esme's name flashed across the screen. My best friend since we were awkward 13-year-olds with braces and big dreams. The person who'd held my hand through my parents' divorce, who'd helped me pick out this very boutique. "It's Esme," I told Marissa. "Mind if I take this?" She waved me on while gathering pins. "Go ahead. I need to grab more tulle anyway." I swiped to answer, careful not to move too much in the half-pinned gown. "Hey, you won't believe how amazing this dress looks now." Silence. "Esme, you there?" "Zara." Her voice sounded strange, tight. "I need to tell you something." The air in the boutique suddenly felt too thin. I knew that tone, the one she used when delivering bad news. "What's wrong?" I just got off the phone with Rosewood Gardens. There's been a mix-up with your venue." My stomach tightened. "What kind of mix-up?" "They double-booked your date. May 15th. I closed my eyes, trying to stay calm. "Okay, we can fix this. Did they offer an alternative date?" Another pause. Longer this time. "Esme?" "The thing is, they didn't exactly double-book it. Someone specifically requested your date and venue after you booked it." I frowned, confusion replacing my initial panic. "That doesn't make sense. We signed contracts. They can't just—" "It was me, Zara." The words hung between us. I must have misheard. "What?" "I booked Rosewood Gardens. For my wedding, on May 15th. I laughed, the sound hollow and wrong in the quiet boutique. "That's not funny." "I'm not joking. Archer proposed last month. We're getting married in May." The room tilted sideways. I gripped the nearest chair, suddenly aware of how exposed I felt in the half-pinned dress. "But that's my venue. My date. You helped me choose it." "I know, I'm sorry. But when Archer and I started planning, it just seemed perfect. You understand, right? You always understand." I didn't understand. Not at all. My best friend had stolen my wedding venue and date, and was calling to— "What? Get my blessing?" "Why would you do this?" My voice came out smaller than I intended. "The venue had a cancellation policy in the contract. They called you 3 times, but you didn't answer. Because I'd been busy with deadlines at the architecture firm. Because I'd trusted that everything was handled. Because I'd trusted her." "So you just took it?" "Archer's family is flying in from overseas. We needed something definite. And you and Benjamin can still get married this year. Just pick another venue." Just pick another venue. As if 6 months of planning could be erased with a simple venue change. As if my dream wedding was interchangeable with any other option. "I have to go," I managed, ending the call before she could respond. I stood frozen in the beautiful dress that now felt like a costume. Marissa returned, arms full of fabric, her smile fading when she saw my face. "Zara, what happened?" "I need to get out of this dress." "But we're not finished with—" "Please." The word came out ragged. 20 minutes later, I sat across from Benjamin at Luciana's, our favorite restaurant. His dark eyes widened as I recounted the conversation with Esme. "That's insane," he said, reaching for my hand. "She can't do that." "She already did." I stared at our intertwined fingers, noticing how his thumb moved in soothing circles against my skin. The venue confirmed it. They had a 48-hour response policy for scheduling conflicts that I apparently missed. "We'll find another venue, a better one." "That's not the point, Ben." I pulled my hand away. "My best friend stole our wedding. Doesn't that bother you?" He shrugged, taking a sip of his water. Of course it bothers me. But what can we do? His casual acceptance felt wrong, like he wasn't as invested as I was, like this was just an inconvenience rather than a betrayal. I'm going to confront her, I decided aloud. Don't make this bigger than it needs to be, babe. It's just a venue. Just a venue. Just like Esme had said. The waiter arrived with our meals, but my appetite had vanished. I pushed pasta around my plate while Benjamin ate, occasionally offering platitudes that felt increasingly hollow. When I got home that night, a cream-colored envelope waited in my mailbox. Expensive paper, gold embossing. I knew what it was before I opened it. You are cordially invited to celebrate the wedding of Esme Warner and Archer Howard. Saturday, May 15th, Rosewood Gardens. A handwritten note was tucked inside. I hope you'll be my maid of honor. No one understands me like you do. Love always, Esme. The invitation trembled in my hands, not from sadness, not anymore, from rage. The invitation sat on my coffee table for 3 days. I'd walk past it, feel the rage bubble up, then force myself to breathe. I'd known Esme for 15 years. There had to be an explanation beyond the obvious, that my best friend was a backstabbing, venue-stealing snake. Rain pelted my apartment windows as I curled on the couch with a glass of wine, scrolling through photos on my phone. Esme and me at college graduation. Esme helping me move into my first apartment. Esme meeting Benjamin for the first time, giving me a thumbs up behind his back. I paused on a photo from 2 years ago. Us on a weekend trip to the coast, arms wrapped around each other, laughing into the camera. Had she been fake even then? Had our entire friendship been a performance? Lightning flashed, illuminating the wedding invitation. I picked it up, running my finger over the embossed lettering. Esme knew exactly what she was doing. She'd helped me create my wedding Pinterest board, for God's sake. She'd stood in Rosewood Gardens with me, agreeing it was perfect, watching me cry when I put down the deposit. My phone buzzed with a text from Benjamin. Working late again, don't wait up. 3rd time this week. I tossed the phone aside, irritation mixing with my already simmering anger. He should be here, plotting revenge with me, not acting like this was some minor inconvenience. I grabbed my laptop and opened our wedding planning spreadsheet. Maybe Benjamin was right. Maybe we could find another venue. I scrolled through local options, but each one felt wrong. Too small, too expensive, too... not what I wanted. My finger hovered over the delete button. What was the point? The perfect venue was gone. The perfect date was gone. My perfect friend was gone. A notification popped up on my screen. An email from Benjamin, probably apologizing for working late again. I clicked it open, then froze. It wasn't addressed to me. Esme, can't stop thinking about last night. Same time Thursday. B. I stared at the screen, my brain refusing to process what I was seeing. This had to be a mistake. Benjamin must have sent this to me by accident, and it was about something innocent. Wedding planning, maybe. Or a surprise they were organizing for me. But why would they meet at night? Without me? I scrolled down to see the earlier messages in the thread. My hands shook as I read exchange after exchange, going back weeks. You're incredible. I can't believe we waited so long to do this. No one needs to know. It's our secret. I want you so badly right now. The room spun around me. I barely made it to the bathroom before throwing up, wine burning my throat on the way back up. I slid to the floor, pressing my forehead against the cool tile. Not just my venue, not just my wedding date, my fiancé. I don't know how long I sat there, but when I finally stood, my legs were numb and my mind was clear. This wasn't just betrayal. This was systematic destruction of everything I cared about, orchestrated by the person I trusted most. I washed my face and returned to my laptop. The emails weren't enough. I needed more evidence before confronting either of them. I needed to be smart about this. I picked up my phone and called the one person who would understand. Patrick, it's me. I need your help. My brother arrived 40 minutes later, soaked from the rain but arms open for the hug I desperately needed. I showed him the emails, watching his expression shift from confusion to disbelief to the same cold anger I felt. "That motherfucker," he said finally. "I never liked him." "You introduced us," I reminded him. "Worst mistake of my life." He paced my living room. "What are you going to do?" I sank onto the couch. "I don't know. Confront them, break up with him, burn her wedding dress. All solid options." Patrick sat beside me. "But first, we need to be absolutely sure. The emails could be misleading. We need concrete proof before you blow up your entire life." He was right. As much as I wanted to scream at both of them right now, I needed to be certain, and I needed to be strategic. "So what do?" I asked. Patrick squeezed my shoulder. "You get proof, and then you make them regret ever crossing Zara Martinez." For the first time since seeing the emails, I felt something other than devastation, a flicker of determination, of purpose. "I need to see his phone," I said, "and I need to get into Esme's social media." Patrick nodded. "I can help with the tech stuff, but Zar, are you sure you want to go down this road? Once you start digging, they're getting married on my wedding day. In my wedding venue," I said, my voice hardening. "And they're fucking behind my back. I'm already on this road." Thunder crashed outside, as if nature itself was validating my rage. I picked up the wedding invitation and tore it in half, then quarters, then confetti. "I'm going to destroy them," I said quietly. "Both of them, and I'm going to make sure they never see it coming." Patrick's eyes widened slightly, but he nodded. "Then we better get started." I pulled out a notebook and began to write, the storm raging outside matching the one building within me. By morning, I had a plan. By the time Benjamin texted that he was stuck at the office again, I had a purpose. The rain had stopped, but the storm was just beginning. Benjamin came home the next morning with coffee and croissants. His hair still damp from a shower I knew he hadn't taken at our apartment. I accepted the peace offering with a smile that felt like broken glass on my face. "I missed you last night," I said, taking a careful sip of the latte. "Big project." "Huge." He kissed my forehead. "The Seattle client is being impossible. I didn't leave the office until 2 a.m. The lie slid so easily from his lips. Had it always been this way? Had I just never noticed? "Poor baby." I touched his cheek, searching his eyes for any hint of guilt. "Nothing. You should get some sleep." "Actually, I need to head back in a few hours." He yawned, stretching. "Just came home to shower and change." "Perfect." "I'll be at Delilah's office all day," I said. "The Richardson project is in its final phase." This, at least, wasn't a lie. My boss had been understanding about my need for a flexible schedule this week. What she didn't know was that I'd be using part of that flexibility to execute phase 1 of my plan. Benjamin disappeared into the bedroom while I pretended to read emails. 20 minutes later, he emerged freshly dressed, his phone in hand. "I'm going to crash for a bit," he announced, placing his phone on the coffee table. "Wake me at noon?" I nodded, not trusting my voice. As soon as the bedroom door closed, I counted to 60, then carefully picked up his phone. The screen was locked, but I knew his password, his mother's birthday. So predictable. My heart hammered as I opened his messages. There it was, a conversation with Esme, right at the top. I took screenshots of everything, sending them to my own phone, my hands trembling with each swipe. "Working late again. Z doesn't suspect anything. Can't wait to see you. A says he's going to his parents this weekend. My place. God, last night was incredible. Still can't believe we're doing this." Each message was a knife twisting deeper. I scrolled back weeks, months, documenting everything. They'd been sleeping together since January. 4 months of betrayal while I planned our wedding. I heard Benjamin stir in the bedroom and quickly locked his phone, placing it exactly where he'd left it. By the time he shuffled out for water, I was calmly drinking coffee, a magazine open on my lap. "Everything okay?" he asked, noticing my flushed face. Just excited about the Richardson project, I lied. Go back to sleep. After he left for work that afternoon, I met Patrick at a coffee shop 3 neighborhoods away from mine. I couldn't risk running into anyone I knew. Got it all, I said, sliding my phone across the table. Every disgusting message. Patrick scrolled through the screenshots, his jaw tightening. Jesus, Zara, this is... I know. My voice cracked. I'd been holding it together all day, but now the reality crashed over me. They've been laughing at me for months. Patrick reached across the table and squeezed my hand. What's your next move? Confront them. End it. Move on. The words felt hollow even as I said them. Is that what you really want? I stared into my untouched coffee. No, I want them to feel what I'm feeling. I want them to lose everything, just like I have. That's my girl. Patrick's smile was grim. So, what's the real plan? I need to talk to Esme. Get her to admit it to my face. Are you sure that's smart? She'll just lie. I need to see it, I insisted. I need to look in her eyes when she lies to me. Patrick didn't argue. He knew me well enough to recognize when my mind was made up. I texted Esme that evening. Need wedding advice, lunch tomorrow? Her response came immediately. Always. Marcello's at 1. The restaurant where she'd first introduced me to Benjamin. Of course. I barely slept that night, rehearsing what I would say, how I would remain calm. By morning, I felt hollowed out but determined. Esme was already at Marcello's when I arrived, waving enthusiastically from our usual table. She looked radiant, glowing skin, perfect hair, designer dress. Was this what betrayal did for a person? Zara? She stood to hug me. I let her, my arms hanging limply at my sides. God, I've missed you. Wedding planning is eating all my time. I slid into my seat. That's actually what I wanted to talk about. I know. You're still upset about the venue. She reached for my hand. I pulled away. But I promise I'll help you find somewhere even better. It's not about the venue. She tilted her head, confusion crossing her features. Then what? Benjamin. Her smile faltered for just a second before returning, brighter than before. What about him? Are you sleeping with him? The question hung between us. Her eyes widened, then narrowed. What? Zara, that's insane. Why would you even ask that? Just answer the question. No, of course not. She laughed, but it sounded forced. He's your fiancé. I'm engaged to Archer. What's gotten into you? I pulled out my phone and placed it on the table. Screen up, displaying their messages. Try again. The color drained from her face. She glanced at the phone, then back at me, calculation replacing shock. Those are out of context, she said carefully. We were discussing wedding plans. Surprises for you. At 2 a.m., in his bed. My voice remained steady, though my insides felt like they were being shredded. Zara, please, you're my best friend. I would never. Stop lying. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I know everything. She stared at me, and for a moment, I thought she might confess. Instead, her eyes filled with tears. It's not what you think, she whispered. We never meant to hurt you. Before I could respond, a familiar voice called out, Ladies, what a coincidence. I turned to see Tiffany, a woman from our wider social circle, approaching our table. Her timing couldn't have been worse. Mind if I join? She asked, already pulling out a chair. Esme shot me a look, part relief, part warning. The conversation was over, for now. As Tiffany chatted about mutual friends, I watched Esme discreetly text under the table, her fingers flying. Warning Benjamin, no doubt. I'd failed to get her full confession, but I'd seen enough in her eyes to know the truth. And as Tiffany prattled on about her new job, she unknowingly dropped the piece of information that would change everything. Oh, by the way, she said, lowering her voice, is it true Benjamin's been spending time at the Westbrook Hotel? My cousin works there and swears she's seen him multiple times with some woman. I figured it had to be work-related, but... Esme's face went rigid. I smiled for the first time in days. How interesting, I said. Tell me more about that. Tiffany's information about the Westbrook Hotel changed everything. After lunch, I sat in my car, hands gripping the steering wheel as I processed what I'd learned. Not only were Benjamin and Esme betraying me, they were doing it somewhere public, somewhere they could be seen, somewhere with security cameras and staff who might remember them. I called Patrick immediately. I need you to meet me tonight. I'm going to the Westbrook. Zara, that's crazy. What are you going to do, stake out the lobby? If I have to. His sigh crackled through the speaker. Fine, but I'm coming with you. We'll be less conspicuous as a couple. I spent the afternoon in a fog at work, nodding through meetings while my mind raced with possibilities. Delilah, my boss, caught me staring blankly at blueprints for the third time that day. Earth to Zara. She waved a hand in front of my face. You've been 1,000,000 miles away all week. What's going on? I considered brushing her off with some excuse about wedding stress, but something in her concerned expression broke through my defenses. My fiancé is cheating on me with my best friend. The words hung in the air between us. Saying it out loud made it real, in a way screenshots and suspicions hadn't. Delilah closed the office door and sat across from me. Are you sure? I nodded, tears threatening despite my determination to stay composed. I have proof, lots of it. What are you going to do? I don't know yet. I wiped at my eyes, but I'm not just going to walk away. Delilah studied me for a long moment. Be careful, Zara. Revenge might feel good in the moment, but it can consume you. I'm not looking for revenge, I lied. Just justice. She didn't look convinced, but she squeezed my shoulder supportively. Take tomorrow off if you need it. The Richardson project can wait. I thanked her and returned to pretending to work, but her warning lingered. Was I going too far? Should I just confront Benjamin, end things cleanly and move on with my life? The thought evaporated when my phone buzzed with a text from him. Working late again, don't wait up. Patrick picked me up at 9. The Westbrook Hotel was downtown, a sleek high-rise, catering to business travelers and wealthy tourists. We sat in the lobby bar, nursing overpriced cocktails while I scanned every person who entered. This is pointless, Patrick said after an hour. We don't even know if they're meeting tonight. They're meeting. I couldn't explain my certainty, but I felt it in my gut. At 10:30, my patience was rewarded. Benjamin walked through the revolving doors, checking his watch. He didn't head to the elevators or the front desk. Instead, he made straight for the bar, on the opposite side from where we sat. Patrick gripped my arm. Don't do anything stupid. I won't. I slid lower in my seat, watching as Benjamin ordered a drink and checked his phone repeatedly. 20 minutes later, Esme appeared. She wore a trench coat despite the mild evening, her hair pulled back in a low ponytail. Nothing like her usual polished appearance. Clearly an attempt at disguise. Benjamin's face lit up when he saw her. He kissed her in a way he hadn't kissed me in months. Hungry, passionate, public. My stomach twisted, but I forced myself to watch as they talked intimately, his hand on her thigh, her fingers playing with his tie. I've seen enough, I whispered to Patrick. Let's go. Outside, I gulped the night air, trying to steady myself. You okay? Patrick asked. No. I leaned against the building, but I will be. We walked to his car in silence. I knew what I needed to do next, but I wasn't sure if Patrick would approve. I need to talk to Tiffany again, I said as he drove. Her cousin who works here. She might be able to help me. Help you how? Information, access, anything that might give me leverage. Patrick frowned. Zara, I get that you're hurt, but this is starting to sound like stalking. It's not stalking to gather evidence about my own fiancé's affair. And what will you do with this evidence? Post it online? Send it to their bosses? Their families? I hadn't thought that far ahead. I don't know yet. That's what worries me. He pulled up outside my apartment. Just sleep on it, okay? Don't do anything tonight. I promised I wouldn't, but as soon as I was inside, I texted Tiffany. Need to talk about what you mentioned at lunch. Urgent. Her response came quickly. Come over now. I have more than you think. 30 minutes later, I sat in Tiffany's cluttered living room while she pulled out her laptop. I didn't want to say too much in front of Esme, she explained, typing rapidly. But my cousin doesn't just work at the Westbrook. She's their events coordinator. She has access to the booking system. And Benjamin has booked the Orchid Suite every Thursday night for the past 3 months. She turned the screen toward me, under his company's name, but with his personal credit card. I stared at the records, each reservation a fresh betrayal. Why are you helping me? We're not even close. Tiffany's expression hardened. Because I've had a crush on Benjamin since college. He knew it too, but he always said he only had eyes for you. She laughed bitterly. Turns out that was a lie. So this is your revenge? This is me doing what I wish someone had done for me when my ex was cheating. She closed the laptop. But there's more. More? My cousin overheard them arguing last week. Something about money missing from a joint account. Esme was accusing Benjamin of taking it. I frowned. Benjamin and I don't have a joint account. Exactly. Tiffany's eyes gleamed. So whose account were they talking about? The implications hit me like a physical blow. Not only were they sleeping together, they were financially entangled somehow. This wasn't just an affair. This was a full-blown relationship happening parallel to mine. There's one more thing, Tiffany said, lowering her voice. My cousin can get you a key card to the Orchid Suite. For next Thursday. My heart raced. Why would she risk her job for me? Because Benjamin hit on her too, before he settled on Esme. Tiffany shrugged. Apparently your fiancé gets around. I should have felt more shock, more pain at this revelation. Instead, I felt a cold clarity settling over me. This wasn't just about Esme's betrayal anymore. This was about Benjamin's pattern of deception that extended far beyond what I'd imagined. Get me that key card, I said. As I left Tiffany's apartment, my phone buzzed with a text from Benjamin. Miss you. Can't wait to come home to you tomorrow. I stared at the message, at the casual lie delivered with such ease. Then I typed back, Miss you too. Sweet dreams. The plan forming in my mind was no longer just about exposing their affair. It was about understanding the full scope of their deception and making sure they both paid for every lie they'd told. The week crawled by as I waited for Thursday. I played the dutiful fiancé, smiling at Benjamin's lies about late meetings and pretending I didn't notice when he came home smelling of unfamiliar perfume. Each deception fueled my resolve. I'd expected to feel guilty about my plan. Instead, I felt nothing but a cold, focused determination that scared me a little. Was this who I was becoming? Someone who schemed and plotted revenge? Wednesday night, I sat alone in our apartment, staring at the engagement ring on my finger. The diamond caught the light, sending prisms across the wall. Once, it had represented everything I wanted. Now it felt like a shackle. My phone rang. Delilah. I almost ignored it, but something told me to answer. I'm outside your building, she said without preamble. Let me up. 5 minutes later, she was at my door with a bottle of wine and a concerned expression. You haven't been yourself, she said, brushing past me into the apartment. I'm worried. I'm fine. The lie came automatically. Delilah set the wine on the counter and turned to face me. No, you're not. You're plotting something. I recognize that look. What look? The same one you get when a client tries to change the design at the last minute. She uncorked the wine. Determined, but dangerous, I sank onto the couch, suddenly exhausted. What would you do if your fiancé and best friend betrayed you? Leave. Start over. She handed me a glass. But that's not what you're planning, is it? I need to know everything first. I took a long sip. The extent of their betrayal, how long it's been happening. If there's more, I don't know. And then I decide what they deserve. Delilah studied me over her glass. Zara, I've known you for 5 years. You're brilliant, driven, and usually kind. This path you're on, it's changing you. They changed me, I snapped. I didn't ask for this. No, but you're choosing how to respond. She set down her glass. Just make sure whatever you do is something you can live with afterward. Her words followed me into uneasy dreams that night. I woke Thursday morning with a knot in my stomach that tightened as the day progressed. By evening, when I met Tiffany outside the Westbrook Hotel, my hands were shaking. You sure about this? She asked, passing me the keycard. No. Yes. Room 1412. They always meet at 9. She squeezed my arm. Be careful. I nodded, unable to speak past the lump in my throat. This was it. No turning back. The Orchid Suite was on the 14th floor, at the end of a hushed corridor. I used the keycard, slipping inside a room larger than my entire apartment. Floor-to-ceiling windows showcased the city skyline. A king-sized bed dominated one wall, immaculately made with crisp white linens. The thought of Benjamin and Esme on that bed made me physically ill. I checked my watch. 8:30. 30 minutes to prepare. I considered hiding in the closet or bathroom, but that felt too cliché, too desperate. Instead, I settled into an armchair, facing the door, and waited. At precisely 9:05, the door opened. Benjamin entered first, already loosening his tie. Esme followed, laughing at something he'd said. Neither noticed me until the door clicked shut behind them. Zara! Benjamin froze, his face draining of color. What? How? Hello, Benjamin. My voice sounded strange to my own ears. Too calm. Esme. Esme recovered first. This isn't what it looks like. Really? Because it looks like my fiancé and best friend meeting in a hotel room they've been booking every Thursday for months. Benjamin stepped forward, hands raised placatingly. Zara, please, let me explain. Explain what? The affair? The lies? Or the money you've been moving from Esme's account? That hit a nerve. They exchanged quick, panicked glances. You don't understand, Esme said, her voice quavering. It's complicated. Then uncomplicate it for me. I leaned forward. Tell me everything, right now, or I walk out of here and go straight to Archer. The threat of her fiancé learning the truth worked. Esme sank onto the edge of the bed, suddenly looking small and afraid. It started at New Year's, she whispered. You were sick, remember? You couldn't make the party. I remembered. Stomach flu had kept me home, while Benjamin went to celebrate with friends. Benjamin was upset about your promotion, she continued. Said you were focusing too much on work, not enough on him. We got drunk and you decided to comfort him by sleeping with him. The bitterness in my voice surprised even me. It was supposed to be one time, Benjamin interjected. A mistake. But then you fell in love? I couldn't keep the mockery from my tone. No. Esme looked genuinely horrified. God, no. It was never about love. Then what was it about? They exchanged another look, and suddenly I understood. Money, I said flatly. This is about money. Benjamin's silence was confirmation enough. Archer's family is wealthy, I continued, pieces falling into place. And you needed cash, didn't you, Benjamin? For those gambling debts you thought I didn't know about. His head snapped up. How did you... I'm not stupid. I've seen the credit card statements. I turned to Esme. So, what's your angle? Why risk everything with Archer? Her eyes filled with tears. The venue, the date, the dress. Everything you had, I wanted. You always got everything so easily. The career, the perfect relationship. I just wanted something that was yours. The pathetic truth of it hit me like a physical blow. This wasn't some grand passion or even calculated malice. It was petty jealousy and financial desperation, wrapped in the convenience of mutual betrayal. You're both disgusting, I said quietly. Benjamin moved toward me. Zara, please. We can fix this. I'll end it with her. We can start over. I stood, backing away from his outstretched hand. There's nothing to fix. It's already over. As I reached the door, Esme called out, What are you going to do? I turned back one last time, looking at these two people I'd once loved. That depends on what happens next, but I promise you both, I'm just getting started. The door closed behind me with a soft click that felt like the period at the end of a chapter, but not the end of the story, not by a long shot. I didn't go home after the hotel confrontation. I couldn't face the apartment I'd shared with Benjamin, filled with photos and memories that now felt like elaborate props in a production I hadn't known I was starring in. Instead, I checked into a different hotel across town, turned off my phone, and slept for 14 hours straight. When I finally woke, sunlight streaming through unfamiliar curtains, the numbness that had carried me through the past week had evaporated. In its place was a raw, pulsing anger that demanded action. I turned on my phone to find 37 missed calls and dozens of texts. Benjamin, begging for forgiveness. Esme, alternating between apologies and threats. Patrick, worried about my silence. And one from a number I didn't recognize. We need to talk about Esme and Benjamin. Meet me at Riverside Park, noon tomorrow. Archer. My heart stuttered. Archer knew. But how? I hadn't contacted him. I showered and dressed in yesterday's clothes, my mind racing. Should I meet him? What if it was a trap set by Esme? But as I checked out of the hotel, curiosity won over caution. I texted back a simple, "I'll be there." The rest of the day passed in a blur of practical matters. I went to the apartment while Benjamin was at work, packed essential clothes and documents, and left my engagement ring on the kitchen counter with a note. "It's over. Don't contact me again." Patrick insisted I stay with him until I found a new place. "You shouldn't be alone right now," he said as he helped carry my bags into his spare room. "I'm fine," I lied. "No, you're not." He set down a suitcase. "And that's okay. No one would be fine after what you've been through." That night, as we sat on his balcony sharing takeout and wine, I told him about Archer's text. "You can't go alone," Patrick insisted. "What if he's angry? What if he blames you somehow? For what? I'm the victim here." "People aren't rational when they're hurt." He refilled my glass. "I'm coming with you." "Fine, but stay at a distance. I need to hear what he has to say." The next day dawned clear and warm. Riverside Park bustled with weekend activity, joggers, families, couples walking hand in hand. Patrick positioned himself on a bench within eyesight, but far enough away to give me privacy. Archer arrived precisely at noon, looking nothing like I expected. Instead of anger or devastation, his face showed only weary resignation. "Zara," he extended his hand formally. "Thank you for coming." We sat on a bench overlooking the river. For a long moment, neither of us spoke. "How did you find out?" I finally asked. "I've known for months." He stared at the water. "About the affair, at least. Not about you knowing." I turned to face him fully. "You knew, and you're still marrying her. That's what I wanted to talk to you about." He sighed, running a hand through his hair. "Esme told me everything after you left the hotel. She's terrified you'll expose them both." "Shouldn't I? Don't you deserve to know who you're really marrying?" "I already know who she is." His voice held no bitterness, only a strange acceptance. "The question is what we do now." "We?" "Esme isn't just cheating on me, Zara. She's stealing from my family's company." The revelation hit me like a physical blow. "What?" "She's been funneling money to Benjamin for months. Small amounts at first, then larger sums as they got bolder, nearly $200,000 in total." I struggled to process this. "Why are you telling me this?" "Because I need your help." Archer leaned closer. "I can't go to the police without implicating my family's business in a scandal, but I can't let them get away with it either." "So what do you want from me?" "Evidence. Anything you have that proves their relationship, the money transfers, all of it. I'm building a case to confront them both." I studied his face, looking for deception. "Why should I trust you? For all I know, you're working with them to find out what I know." He laughed humorlessly. "If I were on their side, I wouldn't be here offering you an alliance. I'd be threatening you into silence." He had a point. "What's your plan?" I asked cautiously. The wedding, it's the perfect opportunity. His eyes gleamed with a determination I recognized, the same cold purpose I'd felt growing inside me. 200 guests, including my family, her family, colleagues, friends, everyone who matters to both of them. You want to publicly humiliate her. I want justice. He pulled out his phone, showing me a banking app. And I want the money back. Benjamin's gambling debts aren't my problem. I hesitated. Working with Archer meant escalating everything, moving from private confrontation to public exposure. Was I ready for that? I need time to think, I said. Don't take too long. He stood. The wedding's in 3 weeks. As he walked away, Patrick joined me on the bench. Well, what did he want? I explained Archer's revelation and proposal. Patrick listened without interrupting, his expression growing increasingly troubled. This is getting serious, Zara. Theft, fraud, these are crimes, not just betrayals. I know. If you help Archer expose them at the wedding, there's no going back. Your relationship with Esme, with Benjamin, it'll be nuclear winter. Those relationships are already dead. I watched a family feeding ducks by the river's edge, their ordinary happiness suddenly precious in its simplicity. They killed them. But this kind of public revenge, Patrick shook his head, it changes you, trust me. Something in his voice made me look at him sharply. You sound like you're speaking from experience. He was quiet for so long I thought he wouldn't answer. My college girlfriend cheated with my roommate. I exposed them both at graduation, in front of everyone. What happened? I got my revenge. They were humiliated. His eyes met mine, and I've regretted it ever since. Not because they didn't deserve it, but because carrying that much anger changed who I was. His words echoed Delilah's warning. Was I becoming someone I wouldn't recognize? Someone defined by vengeance rather than the values I'd always held? My phone buzzed with a text from Archer. I need your answer by tomorrow. I stared at the message, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on me. Working with Archer meant choosing a path of maximum destruction. Walking away meant letting Benjamin and Esme escape the consequences of their actions. I need to see Benjamin, I said suddenly. One more time. Why? Because before I decide anything, I need to look him in the eye and hear him admit what he's done. No excuses, no lies, just the truth. Patrick nodded slowly. And if he won't give you that? I stood, my decision crystallizing. Then I call Archer. Benjamin agreed to meet me at a coffee shop downtown, neutral territory. I arrived early, choosing a table in the corner where we wouldn't be overheard. My hands trembled slightly as I arranged and rearranged the sugar packets, a nervous habit from childhood. When he walked in, I barely recognized him. 3 days without contact, and he looked like he'd aged years. Unshaven, dark circles under his eyes, clothes wrinkled. A small, vindictive part of me was pleased to see him suffering. Zara. He slid into the chair across from me. Thank you for meeting me. I said nothing, just watched him fidget under my gaze. I've been trying to call you, he continued. I was worried. No, you were worried about what I might do with what I know. I kept my voice low, controlled. There's a difference. He reached for my hand. I pulled away. I made a terrible mistake, he said. The worst mistake of my life. But I love you, Zara. What Esme and I had, it wasn't real. It was just convenient, I supplied. Profitable? His eyes widened slightly. What do you mean? I know about the money, Benjamin. The $200,000 you took from Archer's company. The color drained from his face. How did you... Does it matter? I know. I leaned forward. What I don't know is why. Why her? Why throw away everything we had? For a moment, I thought he might actually tell me the truth. His shoulders sagged, and something like genuine remorse flickered across his face. The gambling debts were worse than I told you, he admitted. Much worse. I was desperate, and Esme, she offered a solution. In exchange for what? He looked away. She was jealous of you, always has been. Your career, your confidence, the way people respect you. She wanted to take something that was yours. So you let her. The calm in my voice surprised even me. You let her use you to hurt me. It wasn't like that at first. He ran a hand through his disheveled hair. It was just about the money. But then she started talking about the wedding, about how she wanted everything you had planned, the venue, the date. And you gave it to her. The final piece clicked into place. You called the venue and cancelled our reservation so she could take it. His silence was confirmation enough. I want to fix this, he said finally. Tell me how to fix this. I studied him. This man I'd planned to spend my life with, now revealed as a stranger. Had I ever really known him, or had I been in love with a carefully constructed façade? There's nothing to fix, I said, but there is something you can do. Anything. Confess, to Archer, to your family, to everyone. Return the money. Face the consequences. He paled. Zara, I can't. If this gets out, I could go to jail. That's not my problem. Please. His voice cracked. I'll end things with Esme. I'll give back whatever money I still have. We can start over, just you and me. The desperation in his eyes might once have moved me. Now it only confirmed what I needed to know. He wasn't sorry for what he'd done, only sorry he'd been caught. I'm meeting Archer tomorrow, I said, standing. I'm giving him everything I have. The texts, the hotel records, the bank statements I found in your desk. What happens after that is between you and him. Benjamin grabbed my wrist. You can't do this. Let go of me. My voice was steel. Zara, please, I'm begging you. You should have begged before you betrayed me. I pulled free of his grip. Goodbye, Benjamin. I walked out without looking back, my decision made. The next morning, I met Archer at his office, a sleek high-rise overlooking the river. He listened silently as I laid out everything I knew, everything I had discovered. So you're in? He asked when I finished. I'm in. But on one condition. I met his gaze steadily. No criminal charges, public humiliation, financial restitution. Yes, but I don't want either of them in jail. He considered this. Why do you care what happens to them? I don't, but I care what happens to me. I thought of Patrick's warning, of Delilah's concern. I won't let their betrayal turn me into someone I don't recognize. Archer nodded slowly. Fair enough. So, what's the plan? For the next 2 weeks, we prepared meticulously. I gathered evidence while Archer made arrangements for the wedding day. We met regularly, our unlikely alliance forged in shared betrayal and a mutual desire for justice. The night before the wedding, doubt crept in. I sat on Patrick's balcony, staring at the city lights, wondering if I was making a mistake. Second thoughts. Patrick joined me, offering a glass of wine. Just wondering if this is really who I want to be. I accepted the glass. The person who ruins a wedding. They ruined your wedding first, he pointed out, and your relationship, and stole your money. Not my money, Archer's. Same difference. They're thieves and liars who hurt you deliberately. He sat beside me. But if you want to walk away, I'll support that too. I considered it, the simple relief of letting go, of moving on without the burden of revenge. But then I remembered Benjamin's face in the coffee shop, not sorry for his betrayal, only sorry he'd been caught. I remembered Esme's casual cruelty. Everything you had, I wanted. No, I said finally. I need to see this through. The wedding day dawned bright and clear. Rosewood Gardens looked exactly as I'd imagined it would for my own ceremony. White chairs arranged on the manicured lawn, floral arches framing the altar, champagne stations gleaming in the sunlight. I wore a simple blue dress, nothing that would draw attention. Archer had arranged for me to be seated near the front on the groom's side. As I took my place, I caught Esme's eye from where she waited inside the garden house. Her face went slack with shock, then hardened with determination. She disappeared inside, presumably to warn Benjamin, who would be with the groomsmen. Too late. The ceremony began. Archer stood at the altar, handsome in his tuxedo, betraying no hint of what was to come. The bridesmaids processed, then the flower girl. The music changed, and Esme appeared on her father's arm, radiant in a gown that looked suspiciously like the one I'd designed for myself. As she reached Archer, he took her hands in his, smiling down at her with convincing tenderness. The officiant began the ceremony. If anyone can show just cause why this couple cannot lawfully be joined together in matrimony, let them speak now or forever hold their peace. Archer squeezed Esme's hands, his smile never faltering. Actually, he said, his voice carrying across the hushed gathering, I have something to say. And with that, the reckoning began. A collective gasp rippled through the guests as Archer released Esme's hands. I've recently discovered something about my bride, he continued, his voice steady. Something I think our friends and family should know before we proceed. Esme's face drained of color. Archer, please. Esme has been having an affair with Benjamin Foster. He gestured toward the groomsmen, where Benjamin stood frozen in horror. My best man, my friend. Murmurs swept through the crowd. I sat perfectly still, my heart hammering against my ribs. But that's not all, Archer continued. Together, they've stolen nearly $200,000 from my family's company. Money that funded this wedding. Money that paid for the dress you're wearing. Esme's father stood. What is the meaning of this? I have proof. Archer nodded to his brother, who distributed manila envelopes to key family members. Bank statements, hotel receipts, text messages. Chaos erupted. Esme's mother began to cry. Benjamin tried to slip away but was blocked by Archer's cousins. Esme stood paralyzed at the altar, her perfect day disintegrating around her. Archer, she finally managed, her voice breaking, we can talk about this privately, please, like you talked privately with Benjamin, in hotel rooms I paid for. His composure cracked slightly. While you were sleeping with him, you were stealing from me. While you were planning our wedding, you were laughing at me behind my back. It wasn't like that, she grabbed his arm. Benjamin manipulated me. He needed the money for gambling debts. I was trying to help him. All eyes turned to Benjamin, who looked like he might be sick. Is this true? Archer demanded. Before Benjamin could answer, I stood. The movement drew everyone's attention, including Esme's. Her eyes widened in recognition, then narrowed in fury. You, she hissed. You did this. I walked slowly toward the altar, aware of every eye on me. No, Esme, you did this. You and Benjamin. Who is this woman? Esme's father demanded. I'm Benjamin's fiancé, I said, or I was, until I discovered he was sleeping with the bride. Another wave of gasps and whispers. Benjamin finally found his voice. Zara, don't do this. Do what? Tell the truth. I turned to face the assembled guests. Benjamin and Esme didn't just have an affair. They systematically destroyed my life while planning theirs. They stole my wedding venue, my date, even elements of my dress design. I looked directly at Esme. You said you wanted everything I had. Well, now you have nothing, just like you planned for me. You bitch, she spat. You're just jealous because Benjamin chose me over you. He didn't choose you, I said quietly. He used you, for money, for sex, for an ego boost, just like you used him to hurt me. Benjamin stepped forward. That's not true. Esme and I. Save it. Archer's voice cut through the chaos. The wedding is off. I want both of you off my family's property in 5 minutes, or I'm calling the police. Security guards appeared at the garden entrances. Esme looked wildly around, searching for sympathy, finding none. You'll regret this, she said to Archer. All of you will regret this. She gathered her skirts and fled down the aisle, mascara streaking her perfect makeup. Benjamin hesitated, looking at me one last time. I did love you, he said. In my way. Your way wasn't good enough. I turned my back on him, listening to his footsteps fade as he followed Esme out of the garden. The aftermath was surprisingly orderly. Archer apologized to the guests, offering them reception food and drinks despite the cancelled ceremony. Many stayed, turning the non-wedding into an impromptu party celebrating Archer's narrow escape. I found him by the champagne fountain, looking dazed but relieved. "Thank you," he said simply. "For what? Helping ruin your wedding?" "For helping me avoid a marriage based on lies." He clinked his glass against mine. "I'd say we both dodged bullets today. I suppose we did." I watched the bubbles rise in my champagne. "Do you regret it? The public confrontation?" He considered this. "No. It was messy but necessary. The truth needed to come out." He studied me. "What about you? Any regrets?" I thought about Benjamin's face as he walked away, about Esme's tearful exit. I had imagined this moment for weeks. Their humiliation, my vindication. The reality was both more and less satisfying than I'd anticipated. "I don't regret exposing them," I said finally. "But I'm not sure it fixed anything. I still lost my relationship, my best friend, my wedding." "You lost things that were already broken," Archer corrected. "You just didn't know it yet." His words settled over me like a revelation. He was right. Nothing I truly valued had been lost today, only illusions I'd been clinging to. As the impromptu party continued around us, Patrick found me by the koi pond, away from the crowd. "You okay?" he asked. "Getting there." I slipped off my shoes, letting my feet dangle in the cool water. It wasn't what I expected. Revenge rarely is. He sat beside me. "What now?" "Now?" I considered the question. For weeks, my every thought had been consumed by exposing Benjamin and Esme. I hadn't planned beyond this moment. "I don't know." "That's okay too." He bumped my shoulder with his. "You don't have to have it all figured out." As the sun began to set, casting golden light across the gardens, Delilah appeared with a plate of hors d'oeuvres. "Thought you might be hungry," she said, joining us. "Quite a show you put on." "Not my finest moment," I admitted. "I don't know about that." She selected a stuffed mushroom. "Standing up for yourself, refusing to be a victim, seems pretty fine to me." I could have just walked away. "You could have," she agreed. "But sometimes the harder path is the right one." We sat in companionable silence, watching the party from a distance. Archer caught my eye across the lawn and raised his glass in a silent toast. I nodded in acknowledgement, feeling an unexpected kinship with this man I barely knew. "Ready to go?" Patrick asked eventually. "Almost." I stood, brushing off my dress. "There's one more thing I need to do." I walked to the center of the garden, to the spot where I had once imagined saying my vows. The spot where, just hours ago, Esme had seen her carefully constructed façade crumble. I slipped off the promise ring Benjamin had given me years ago, the one I'd continued wearing even after finding my engagement ring on the kitchen counter. I held it for a moment, feeling its weight one last time, then dropped it into the koi pond. The ripples spread outward, distorting my reflection before settling into clarity again. I looked different somehow, stronger, clearer. I turned away from the water and walked toward Patrick and Delilah, toward whatever came next. Not healed, not yet, but no longer broken by betrayal. For the first time in weeks, I felt the weight lift from my shoulders. Benjamin and Esme had taken many things from me, but they hadn't taken the one thing that mattered most, my ability to stand in my truth, even when it hurt. Some bridges needed to burn, so you could see the horizon beyond them.